Welcome back to the Michigan Business Beat, brought to you on the Michigan Business Network. Chris Holman here, coming to you from the Grand Hotel, and we are on Mackinac Island because this is the few days that the Detroit Regional Chamber of Commerce puts on their policy conference. And so all the people involved in business around the state are here. And of course, we have one as our guest right now, Todd Gustafson, CEO. Grand Poopah, is that of Kinexus?
Yeah.
How you doing, bud?
I'm good. It's great to see you, especially on the island.
You know what? And we're having some fabulous weather.
You're having some fabulous weather. It's beautiful, but you also had some fabulous speakers I can see and heard. So
Unbelievable. I mean, and we're always very fortunate. We get everybody pretty much we want to interview. But I just had Tammy Carnrick on, who's the COO, and we were talking about the quality of speakers this year.
yeah,
And how frustrating it is to try to see three different events at 10:15, all of which you want to see.
I know. The speaker series was awesome this year. In fact, a little side note, actually, Susie Matthews, the president and CEO of the U.S. Chamber, is here. She's the keynote at 1. She was my boss when I worked in D.C. Yeah,
No kidding.
yeah, many moons ago.
Well, I knew the former guy who had been there.
Donahue, Tom.
Yeah,
I
Donahue.
worked directly for Tom.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
Oh,
So Susie was the chief of staff, and so I would interact with them all the time.
this was interesting because when I was chair of the NSBA in DC, I worked with Sandy Baroa
Oh,
because Sandy was at the
yeah,
SBA,
yeah.
right?
It is a small. In fact, we talk to young people that come into the professional world, and like it is a small world. You may not realize that, but so connect with the really smart people. Be careful about what you say and do because people are paying attention.
No, they aren't. Like my dad always said, don't scratch inappropriately. You don't know who's watching.
That's a good.
Maybe that's a bad analogy.
No, I like that.
Hey, let's talk about Kinexus.
Yeah.
What you are.
Yeah, so Kinexus Group is an enterprise of a family of organizations. 4 of them are nonprofits. We just acquired a for-profit, and then we also are an education service provider for a public school. So we do a lot of stuff.
You do a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
It's kind of interesting.
it's in 2 channels though. One is workforce, and the other is economic development. So we're active in those both spaces. We're actually headquartered in Benton Harbor, St. Joseph, but we have services and programming and customers, frankly, across the state.
Well, I have to say, you brought a real statewide perspective to the board at Michigan Celebrates when you came on a few years ago, and you've made a major difference.
I really enjoyed that. I think it's a privilege for me to be able to sit around that table with people like you, as I call the small business person of, you're the small business champion for Michigan. And you've got this SBAM and you've got SBDC and Edward Lowe Foundation, a group of organizations that actually really care and do a lot of work for small entrepreneurs.
And of course, MEDC.
And the MEDC is a big part of that too. And for me to just see the smiles on the faces of those people, those companies that get awarded and that are just recognized, I mean, that makes it all valuable. Right?
No, you're absolutely right. And the reason I've always loved that night is because I've had the privilege of being up on the stage all night long, and I'm able to look out and see those people. And when the CEO of a company gets an award, the whole table erupts. It's so fun.
It is. Their faces light up. I mean, they're hootering and hollering. I mean, they're super excited because as you know, as a small business owner, the amount of time, effort, sacrifice that goes into that.
Oh.
And I come from a family of entrepreneurs, so it's really important to me. My mom started out as a single mom, and she had 3 kids, and she started out as a secretary. She went on to become a real estate. Then she became the best real estate agent in her market. Then she bought the company and then became the best real estate. And then she became head of the UPA Realtor Association. My grandfather owned a manufacturing company. My point is, I know that they made huge sacrifices all the time with their family, with their friends in order to make it work. So you got to be passionate about it. And if you've got one night to honor them all, I think that's super special.
It's interesting because I always define a small business person as someone who at some point has gone to bed on Wednesday worried about payroll.
Yeah, exactly. I remember those conversations.
Some of those anxieties that, if you haven't experienced them,
you
really haven't tasted the water. So, no. All right. So you glazed over, you bought a for-profit.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah. Well, I feel like we're unique in that, again, we're a nonprofit that owns several nonprofits, but also purchased a for-profit. The for-profit is HR Collaborative. They do a lot of work out of West Michigan, but actually have clients all over. And I'll tell you, one of their clients really cool, super cool, is Netflix. So what they do is human resources. They're the human resource experts. So they don't do staffing. They staff the HR departments. So a lot of times companies are like, I don't have money or need a full-time HR person, but I do have some HR issues I need to work through.
Yeah.
That's when they come in and you can hire them to do that.
Unbelievable. What a service that'll be. And hopefully make a little money to kick back into the kitty, right?
Yeah, the notion around that is taking the for-profit and putting it back, investing it back into the nonprofit's missions and purpose, right? So the other four I talk about, they help manufacturers with training, or they help with adult education, or they help with at-risk youth. So that, again, they need resources to do that work.
Right.
The notion is we'll take that for-profit and reinvest it in there.
Wow. Listen, bud, thanks for everything you do. And thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. This is my favorite part of the island, coming to talk to you.
I
love actually this, so thank you.
Todd Gustafson, CEO of Kinexus. I'm Chris Holman, and you're watching the Michigan Business Beat on the Michigan Business Network. And we are coming to you from the Grand Hotel, where we are attending the Detroit Regional Chamber of Commerce's annual policy conference.